I went this morning to the farmer's market here. It was not so big this day because of the rain. And it's been a while since I went there. And it was just so sweet to go to the different farmers, and they're so earthy, the people here. I really enjoy that. I make my own bone broth. So I buy my bones from Joe, the farmer. Big guy, big beard. And he's always there with his wife and 6 children now, 5 girls and one little boy. So he has this boy on his arms the whole time, whatever he does. And it's sweet, just earthy, connecting. He's teaching his daughters how to be with the money. They want to do all the money, so they get turns. And it's always lovely to see how parents with patience just show their children. And the mother, she is a lovely lady and very caring, and she bakes all the goods. And I don't know, it's what makes me so happy, just that utmost simplicity. And there was a guy playing music, and so I went to him to give a tip, and we started talking a little bit. And he said, "Can I play you a song?" I said, "Yeah, play me a song." He asked me what song, and I said, "How about a song of the heart?" He said, "Yeah." And then he said, "Oh, I know one." It was one of his best friends. I think he passed on. And so he sang that song with his, could feel from his toes to his heart to the tip of his head. And this is precious. And I just stayed there and listened to the song. Most of the words I cannot even understand because of the slang here, the dialect, but just the heart you could feel. I could feel. And then there's this other guy that has always, the vegetables are so wonderful. And so I bought some veggies, and I didn't really need more veggies, but anyways, I bought veggies. And then I drove off, and it just felt so much gratitude for that simplicity. And then I was pondering, like, gosh, Marlies, your whole fridge is full with vegetables. You need to buy more. And then I decided that I'm a veggie hoarder. And I had to laugh. That's what it is. I'm a vegetable hoarder. So I called a friend, and I often get him some vegetables. So I said, "I have some vegetables. Just come by this afternoon and pick up some vegetables." And I think I was too engaged in my vegetable story. And then there was a police car behind me who stopped me. And I was like, "Gee, am I driving too fast?" And so I was curious. So came this big guy, really friendly. And I said, "Hi, good morning." And he, "Good morning." And he said, "Can I see your driver's license?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "You went a little too fast." And I thought, oh, well, I guess I wasn't very present. So he went away. And I just ask any 10 million times a day, I ask for help. Okay, help. I need help for the best outcome here. I don't want to pay for a ticket. And then he came back and he said, "All is okay." I said, "Well, how fast did I go?" And he said, "There's that stretch where you go 45 and you went just faster." I said, "Oh, yeah." Okay. So that was very nice. And off we drove. I felt very grateful not to be ticketed, but it actually reminds me of a story. Years ago, I was driving from California to Bend, and Bend is in Oregon, to teach. And then I had a really old car and it was just fixed or just had its checkup. And we were just flying over the road. And I was just past Mount Shasta, and there was nobody on the road, and it's 3 lanes. And I was just cruising. And then all of a sudden, there was this police car behind me. And I was like, oh shit. Okay. So I just went to the side of the road. And so the guy came. It was also very sincere policeman, or how do you call those? They have another name here. And he said, "Are you okay?" I said, yeah, I'm really good. He said, do you know how fast you drove? I said, actually, I don't. He said, and it was really high. I think it was 92 or something. And he said, it was 92. I said, yeah, that's really fast. I said, I was just totally not present. I was listening to music and having a great time, and my car was just fixed. Yeah, I was totally oblivious. Sorry. And so I messed up. He said, with this amount, he said, I can actually have you put in jail. I said, really? I didn't know that. So he went to his car and did his thing. And then he came back. And also I said, okay, help, please. I need help here. And then he came back. He said, okay, I got a deal for you. I won't, whatever. He said, you only have to go to traffic school. So here in America, when you get a ticket, you can go to traffic school, or you get a kind of a point here on your insurance or whatever that you did something bad. And he said, will you do me a favor? I said, yeah, it depends. He said, can you please promise me that you never drive that fast anymore? And I said, I promise. And I haven't. It really impressed me. And I remember I went to the people where I was offering the satsang, a really wonderful couple and family. And so I had to do traffic school. So everybody helped me online to do the traffic school, get it all done. Anyways, that's a little story about being absent-minded and just cruising on the road. Probably not the best stories to tell you as a teacher, but I guess I'm human too. But I was then touched, and same as today, just touched by the humanness of both policemen, or whatever you call them, and the people on the market. And I feel when the more and more we ground in our nature and just are here, or are absent-mindedly here, so to speak, there's a certain protection that's with us. But there's also a certain overflow of brightness and light and presence that starts coming over you, that starts shining out, that gets lit up from inside. But also when you're with people and you look in each other's eyes, they get lit up too. And don't underestimate the power that you are, that you have, and that you are. And how we all bring this in this world every moment. Yeah, so don't underestimate that.